Listen to me. I don't care if nobody else told you today. I came to remind you of something that might just change your life. God sees you. Yeah, you, the one holding it all together on the outside while falling apart on the inside. You ain't invisible. You're not forgotten. You're not abandoned. You think he don't know what you're going through? You think he ain't watching those late nights when you're staring at the ceiling, praying, crying, wondering how you're going to make it to the next day? He saw it. He sees it. You tired, right? Tired of trying, tired of fighting, tired of pretending, tired of being strong for everybody else. But I came here to tell you, just because you're tired doesn't mean you're finished. You're in the struggle. You're in the fire. But guess what? You're being forged. Steel don't get stronger without heat. Diamonds don't shine without pressure. You're not being punished. You're being prepared. You prayed for strength, and now you're in a situation where you have to be strong. You asked for growth, and now you're uncomfortable. That's not a coincidence. That's God doing his work. Don't confuse the process with the punishment. God ain't ignoring you. He's building you. He's stretching your faith, expanding your capacity, unlocking your purpose. See, you want deliverance, but he's giving you development. You want out, but he's trying to pull greatness out of you. That tired you feel, that's a sign you're pushing, you're pressing, you're still in the game. So don't quit. Don't give up in the middle of the storm. This is when it matters the most. When you can't see the finish line, but you keep running anyway. When you feel empty, but you show up full of faith, that's where the breakthrough lives. Hear me. He knows you're tired, but he also knows what's in you. He ain't bring you this far to let you die in the desert. There's a promise on the other side of this pain. You got to believe even when it hurts. You got to trust even when it doesn't make sense. Because what's ahead of you is bigger than what's behind you. Don't you dare give up. Your future is watching, your purpose is watching, your legacy is watching, and most of all, God is watching. Hey, you feel alone. You feel like you're walking through this life with a weight on your shoulders so heavy, it's crushing. You smile at people, you say, I'm good, but inside, there's a storm, a constant struggle that nobody else sees. And you start to wonder, does anybody see me? Does anybody even care? I'm here to tell you, yes, God sees you. Not just a version of you that shows up to work on time, that tries to hold a family together, that says all the right things in public. No, he sees you, the real you, the one who cries behind closed doors, the one who's been through things you don't even talk about, the one who's been praying and waiting and wondering why it feels like nothing is changing. That version of you, God sees every single tear, every single late night, every single battle you're too exhausted to fight. It's easy to feel invisible when your pain is silent, when you're the one people rely on, but no one stops to ask how you're doing. When you're the strong one, the responsible one, the rock, and rocks don't cry, right? But inside, you're breaking. Inside, you're screaming. And even though you put on that face, calm, composed, unshaken, deep down, you wonder if anybody notices the cracks forming in your soul. Let me tell you something real. Just because people don't see it doesn't mean God doesn't. He's not fooled by the mask you wear. He sees beneath it. He knows the truth. You don't have to explain yourself to him. You don't have to have the right words. He understands the language of your tears, the meaning in your silence. He sees the nights you lie awake, thoughts racing, heart aching, fighting battles in your mind that feel like they'll never end. He sees the sacrifices nobody claps for, the times you kept going when quitting felt easier. He sees the pressure, the expectations, the way you carry burdens that were never meant to be yours alone. And through all of it, he hasn't looked away, not once, not when you failed, not when you doubted, not when you fell back into old habits, not even when you felt like giving up. He's still there, eyes locked on you, present, constant, watching not to judge, but to guide, watching not to condemn, but to cover you in grace. And the crazy part is, he doesn't just see your pain. He sees your potential. He sees what you're capable of, even when you don't. He sees strength in you that you've forgotten about. He sees a purpose in you that hasn't been canceled by your past or your problems. You think the struggle defines you, but God sees beyond the struggle. He sees the growth. He sees the faith it took just to get out of bed this morning. He sees the fight you still have left, even when you feel empty. You're not overlooked. You're not passed over. Your name is written on his heart. Your life, your struggle, your journey, it all matters to him. You don't have to scream to get his attention. You don't have to perform. You don't have to be perfect. He saw you before the struggle began, and he'll see you through it until the end. He saw you when you were little, before the trauma, before the hurt, before people broke your trust, before life got complicated. He saw the innocence. He saw the dreams. He saw the raw potential. And guess what? He still does. That little spark inside you, the part of you that wants more, that still believes, he put that there. He's fanning that flame even now. Even in the middle of your pain, you may feel unseen by people, but you're never unseen by God. He doesn't miss a thing. That moment you chose to keep going instead of quitting, he saw it. That time you extended forgiveness when it would have been easier to hold on to the bitterness, he saw it. The way you've been faithful, even when you felt forgotten, he saw that too. Heaven takes notice of what the world overlooks. And I get it. It's hard to keep showing up when it feels like no one notices. It's hard to keep pouring out when you feel empty. But this is what you need to remember. God's not distant. He's not somewhere far off, watching from a distance, disconnected. He is with you, closer than your next breath, in the thick of it, in the middle of your chaos, in the waiting, in the heartbreak, in the confusion, in the tears. In the silence, he sees you. He sees how hard you're trying. He sees how you've kept going, even with fear in your chest and doubt in your head. He sees the prayers you whispered while driving to work, the ones you cried in the shower, the ones you couldn't even form into words. Every bit of that, he caught it. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is ignored. You've convinced yourself that because things haven't changed, he's not listening. But silence doesn't mean absence. Delay doesn't mean denial. Sometimes the work he's doing in you is hidden underground, like a seed that's planted, buried, growing roots before it ever breaks the surface. Just because you can't see progress doesn't mean he isn't watching every inch of it. When people forget you, God remembers. When others overlook you, God singles you out. When the world says you're too much, not enough, too broken, God says you are exactly who he made you to be. With the scars, with the struggle, with the story you're living through right now. And maybe no one else gets it. Maybe the people closest to you don't understand. But God does. He gets it. He gets you. And that alone should give you the strength to stand up one more time, because you are seen, you are known. You're tired. Not just physically, not just the kind of tired that a nap can fix. I'm talking soul tired. The kind of tired that hits you when you've been grinding for so long, pushing so hard, and it still feels like you're stuck in the same place. When you've been carrying things, pain, pressure, responsibility for so long that your back is bowed and your spirit is heavy. But just because you're tired doesn't mean you're finished. That feeling you're carrying, that weight that makes you want to give up, it's real, but it's not the end of your story. You've been giving everything you got. You show up even when it hurts. You keep moving even when your feet feel like concrete. You smile even when your heart is breaking. And you're asking, how long can I keep doing this? You look around and it seems like everyone else is winning. Everyone else is smiling for real. And here you are, burnt out, stretched thin, barely hanging on. That's the point where most people quit. But you're not most people. There's something inside you that refuses to stop. And I need you to understand, being tired doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've been strong for too long without rest. It means you've been fighting. It means you've been in it. There's no shame in being tired. It means you've been trying. It means you've cared. It means you've been pressing forward even when you didn't feel like it. And that matters. That counts. Don't let anybody tell you different. The world has a way of applauding people for results while ignoring the process. But the process is where the strength is built. The process is where character is formed. The process is where the grind gets gritty. And the ones who make it through, they're the ones who understand that tired doesn't mean done. It just means it's time to catch your breath, but not time to quit. Think about all the times you wanted to stop before and didn't. All the nights you cried and still showed up the next day. All the moments you felt defeated but kept going anyway. That wasn't weakness. That was strength in its purest form. It takes a strong person to keep moving with tired legs. It takes courage to keep believing when your hope feels like it's running dry. It takes grit to keep showing up when everything in you says, stay down. You're not finished because you're tired. That fatigue you're feeling is part of the journey. Every champion has felt it. Every leader, every great person who ever achieved something real had moments where they thought about walking away, but they didn't. And neither should you, because there's a difference between tired and finished. Being tired means your body or your spirit needs a moment. Being finished means you've given up completely. And that's not who you are. You wouldn't even be here reading this if you were finished. This moment, this weariness, it's not the end. It's a checkpoint, a pause, a deep breath in the middle of the race. You don't have to sprint the whole way. Sometimes it's about surviving this lap so you can run the next one stronger. Sometimes it's about holding on when you've got nothing left in the tank because you know something greater is coming. Because you know quitting won't bring you peace. It'll just bring regret. And you've come too far for that. You've sacrificed too much. You've endured too many battles to lay it all down now. Even when your energy's gone, your purpose is still intact. Even when your motivation fades, your mission doesn't disappear. You can rest, you can recharge, but don't let the fatigue fool you into thinking you're not built for this. Because you are. The tired version of you is still powerful. The weary version of you still has value. The exhausted version of you still matters. You're still chosen, still gifted, still capable, still enough. Let's be real. Tiredness will whisper lies in your ear. It'll tell you you're wasting your time, that you're not making progress, that no one sees your effort, that it's all for nothing. But those are lies. Fatigue will try to blur your vision. It'll try to make you forget your why. But deep down, you know the truth. You know there's something bigger on the other side of this. You know you weren't built to live an average life, to give up when it gets hard, to let tiredness define your destiny. You weren't meant to crawl through life hoping it gets easier. You were meant to rise even when it hurts, even when you're spent, even when your heart is dragging behind you. There's strength in continuing, even if it's slow, even if it's messy, even if all you can do is take one more step. That step matters. That inch forward still counts. Progress doesn't always look like leaps and bounds. Sometimes it looks like crawling on hands and knees through the darkness, just holding on to the belief that the light is still out there. So yeah, you're tired, but look at how far you've come. Look at the weight you've carried and still managed to move forward. Look at the storms you've survived. There were moments you thought would break you, and yet here you are, still breathing, still fighting, still in the game. That's not weakness. That's power. That's proof of your resilience. Tiredness is a part of the journey for people who go the distance. Nobody running a marathon feels fresh at mile 20. Champions feel fatigued too. The ones who make it aren't the ones who never get tired. They're the ones who learn how to keep going anyway. They learn how to rest without quitting, to fall down and get back up, to pause but not walk away. What you're feeling doesn't disqualify you. It qualifies you. Because if you weren't pushing for something greater, you wouldn't be tired in the first place. If you were just coasting through life with no purpose, no goals, no drive, this wouldn't hurt like it does. The weight wouldn't feel so heavy. But the fact that it does means you care. It means you're in it. It means you're on the path to something real. And yeah, people might not see the full picture. They might not understand why you're so exhausted, but that's okay. You're not doing it for their approval. You're doing it because there's a fire in you that refuses to be extinguished. And even if that fire is flickering right now, even if it feels like it's just embers, God can work with that. That tired spark still has the power to ignite something powerful, something life-changing, something legacy-building. Pain has a way of convincing you that you're being punished. When you're in the middle of a storm, it's easy to start questioning everything. Your purpose, your prayers, your past. You start asking, what did I do wrong? You wonder if maybe you missed a step, made a mistake, or took a wrong turn somewhere. The pressure gets heavy and the silence from heaven feels like rejection. But what you need to understand is this: the struggle is not punishment, it's preparation. What you're walking through right now isn't meant to break you, it's meant to build you. There's something sacred about the process of pain. It refines you. It strips away what's not essential and brings you face to face with who you really are. It takes you beyond surface level strength and forces you to dig deep into the parts of you that only adversity can reach. Growth never comes from comfort. You don't grow when everything is easy, when everyone is cheering, when the road is smooth. You grow when you're tested. You grow when life throws you off balance and you learn how to stand anyway. See, most people want to skip the process. They want the success, the peace, the breakthrough, but they don't want to walk through the fire it takes to get there. They want the mountaintop, but not the climb. But the truth is, the climb is what qualifies you for the summit. The pain is what gives the victory its meaning. The tears are what make the joy hit different. Without the struggle, without the fight, there's no faith. Without the pressure, there's no diamond. And I know it doesn't feel fair. I know there are moments when you're asking, why? Why does it have to be this hard? Why is the path so rough? Why does it seem like the more you try, the more resistance you face? But resistance isn't always the enemy. Sometimes resistance is the proof that you're going the right way. It's the tension that grows your capacity. It's the weight that builds your endurance. You're not being punished. You're being promoted, stretched, strengthened, developed into who you were always meant to be. You're in the gym of life right now, and the weight is heavy because you're lifting something that's going to make you stronger. Don't mistake the pain for punishment. Don't confuse the silence for abandonment. Some of the greatest breakthroughs are born in the quietest, hardest seasons, when everything is shaking, when nothing makes sense, when you feel like you've been forgotten. Those are the moments God is working behind the scenes, building something in you that couldn't be built any other way. Think about a seed. When it's planted, it goes into the dark, buried, hidden, covered in dirt. From the outside, it looks like death, like the end. But it's not the end. It's the beginning. That seed isn't being punished. It's being positioned. Something is happening beneath the surface that nobody can see. Roots are forming. Foundations are being laid. And eventually, at the right time, it breaks through. But without that hidden, dirty, buried process, there would be no growth. You're not buried, you're planted. And that changes everything. We look at the pressure in our lives and we think it's going to crush us. But pressure has a purpose. It teaches us discipline. It teaches us patience. It develops our character. You can't microwave growth. You can't shortcut transformation. If you want to be solid, if you want to be real, if you want to carry something powerful, then you have to go through something real. You have to be forged, molded, refined. And that process isn't always pretty, but it's necessary. This is the season where God is doing heart surgery. He's cutting away things that were holding you back. Pride, fear, doubt, insecurity. He's peeling away the layers that had been covering up the real you. And yeah, that hurts. It's uncomfortable. It's tiring, but it's not for nothing. There's a version of you on the other side of this process that's stronger, wiser, more focused, more grounded. You just have to endure long enough to see it. The struggle isn't wasted. The pain isn't pointless. Every tear, every battle, every setback is a setup, a setup for growth, a setup for elevation, a setup for revelation. God is using what was meant to destroy you to develop you. He's using what broke you down to build you up. He's using what hurt you to heal you in deeper ways. You don't become powerful without pressure. You don't get refined without fire. And here's the real truth. What you're going through now is preparing you for what you prayed for. You ask for strength, this is how you get it. You ask for purpose, this is how you find it. You ask to be used, this is how you're being shaped. You can't ask to be a light and then run from the darkness. You can't ask to lead and then run from the weight of leadership. There's a cost to becoming who you're meant to be. And the struggle is part of the price. There's something inside you that has to be unlocked, and struggle is the key. It reaches parts of your soul that nothing else can. It humbles you. It teaches you to lean not on your own understanding, but to trust something bigger than you. It teaches you how to walk by faith, not by sight. It teaches you to be still when all you want to do is run. And in that stillness, something shifts. Your perspective changes. Your spirit strengthens. You begin to realize that this isn't happening to you, it's happening for you. The same heat that melts wax hardens clay. It's not about the heat, it's about what you're made of. And you're made of something that doesn't break easy. You've made it through too much already to think this is the end. There's a reason for the pressure. There's a purpose in the pain. And when you come out on the other side, and you'll see that what felt like a breakdown was actually a breakthrough in disguise. You'll realize that what felt like loss was making room for something better. You'll look back and understand that the fire didn't burn you, it refined you. Everybody wants the miracle, but nobody wants the process. Everybody wants deliverance, but not everybody is ready for development. See, we pray for freedom, for breakthrough, for answers, but what we often don't realize is that deliverance doesn't just fall out of the sky. It starts with development. God is not just interested in pulling you out of the storm. He's interested in building you while you're still in it. He's not just trying to get you to the destination. He's trying to prepare you so when you get there, you can handle what's coming. The issue is we think God's delay means denial. We think because the chains haven't fallen off yet, that God's not moving. But the truth is, he's doing some of his deepest work when it looks like nothing is happening. He's developing something in you before he delivers you from it. Because the goal isn't just to get out. The goal is to come out ready. There's no point in getting free from a place if your mind is still bound. There's no point in escaping a situation if your heart is still trapped in the same patterns. Deliverance without development is dangerous because you'll walk right back into the same thing you begged to be released from. That's why the process matters. That's why the waiting matters. That's why the struggle is sacred. Because in those dark places, in those quiet seasons, that's where character is shaped. That's where endurance is born. That's where you learn to hear his voice without distractions. That's where your dependence on him becomes real. We want out, but God wants depth. We want fast, but God wants full. And development takes time. You don't rush greatness. You don't shortcut wholeness. Think about this. If a builder tried to rush the foundation of a house just to get it up quicker, that house would collapse the moment pressure hit it. So God takes his time with you because he knows what he's building in you is meant to last. He's not building for temporary comfort. He's building for legacy, for impact, for strength. That's why you feel the pressure. That's why it feels like nothing is moving, because he's working beneath the surface in places nobody sees, but that affect everything. You prayed for growth and now you're in the middle of stretching. You asked for strength and now you're carrying weight you didn't expect, but that weight is what's developing your capacity. You can't carry greatness if you haven't been conditioned to handle it. You can't carry blessing if you haven't been disciplined in the struggle. What he's preparing you for is too big to hand over before you're ready. So he'll keep working you, shaping you, breaking some things off of you, pruning, refining, not because He's mad, but because he loves you too much to give you something that would destroy you if you weren't prepared. Look at every major figure in Scripture. Before they were delivered, they were developed. Joseph had a dream, but went through betrayal, slavery, prison. David was anointed king, but went back to tending sheep, then running for his life. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before ever confronting Pharaoh. Even Jesus spent 30 years in development for 3 years of ministry. What makes you think you'll skip the process? Development isn't punishment. It's the training ground for purpose. And without it, your deliverance won't hold. Sometimes the greatest blessing is not that God removed the struggle, but that he made you stronger in it, that he taught you how to stand in the fire, that he developed your voice in the valley, that he taught you how to praise when the prison door was still locked. Because if you can learn to trust him when it doesn't make sense, if you can learn to walk with him when there's no spotlight, then you'll be ready for the stage when it comes. You won't be swayed by applause or crushed by opposition because your roots run deep. This is where you learn how to be faithful when it's not fun. This is where you learn discipline when it's dry, where you learn patience when it's painful. This is where God teaches you who you are when nobody's watching. This is where you learn to walk by faith, not by sight. Deliverance will come, but development is happening now. And that development is going to give your deliverance weight. You won't just be a survivor, you won't just come out free. You'll come out wise. You won't just walk out, you'll carry others with you. Sometimes we pray for God to change the situation, and he's trying to change us in the middle of it because the next level requires a new version of you. And the only way to get there is through development, through the resistance, through the pressure, through the silence. God is not trying to make you comfortable. He's trying to make you capable. And that means he'll allow you to sit in some situations longer than you want to so he can work something in you deeper than you expected. Development is often disguised as delay. It looks like nothing is happening. It feels like you've been forgotten. But what you don't see is the strength being built behind the scenes, the mindset being sharpened, the habits being formed, the faith being solidified. You're learning how to fight the right battles. You're learning how to depend on God and not just on gifts. You're learning how to stand in who you are instead of performing for who they want you to be. So when deliverance finally shows up, when the door opens, when the opportunity comes, when the weight lifts, you'll walk into it with peace. You'll walk into it with purpose because you'll know it wasn't just handed to you. You were made for it. You were developed for it. You were forged in the fire for it. And that changes everything because now you're not just delivered, you're ready. You're prepared, you're grounded, you've been tested, you've been tried, and you know what it cost. You won't take it for granted, you won't waste it, you won't go back, because you've been through too much, you've grown too much, you've been developed, you've been crying in private while smiling in public. You've been carrying weight that no one sees, fighting battles that no one knows about. And sometimes it feels like nobody truly understands what you're going through. You wake up with pressure in your chest, go to sleep with thoughts racing through your mind, and in between all that, you show up at work, for your family, in your responsibilities, like everything's okay. But deep down, you're exhausted. You're questioning whether any of this is worth it. You wonder if anyone even notices the struggle behind your strength. But I'm telling you, God sees what no one else sees. He sees the tears that fall when you're alone. He hears the silent prayers you whisper in the dark. He watches the sacrifices you make that nobody claps for. And even though people might overlook your pain, even though the world may never applaud your effort, God is watching closely. You're not invisible to him. You're not forgotten. You're not abandoned. In fact, he's more present in your lowest moments than you even realize. We live in a world where people only celebrate what they see. They praise success, outcomes, trophies. But God doesn't just look at the fruit, he looks at the root. He doesn't just see the finished product, he sees the process. He sees the nights you kept going when you had nothing left. He sees the times you chose to do right when it would have been easier to quit. He sees every time you showed up in faith when fear was screaming in your ear. That quiet consistency, that hidden obedience, that private endurance, it matters. Sometimes the people around you don't have the capacity to understand your struggle. They see your strength and assume you're okay. They see your progress and assume it was easy. But they don't know about the moments you almost walked away. They don't know about the emotional weight you're carrying. They don't know how much effort it takes just to get out of bed some days. But just because they don't see it doesn't mean it's not real. And just because they don't acknowledge it doesn't mean God isn't keeping track. There's something powerful about being seen by God. When you feel like no one else gets it, when you feel isolated in your fight, when you feel like you're drowning in silence, He sees you. He knows the exact depth of your pain. He understands the exact weight of your pressure. He knows how hard it is for you to keep going, and yet He still whispers, I'm with you. He doesn't shame you for your struggle. He doesn't rush you through your pain. He sits with you in it. He strengthens you in it, and He promises that it will not be wasted. You might feel like you're being stretched beyond your limit, like you're being pulled in too many directions, like the pressure is going to crush you. But the fact that you're still standing, even in your weakness, is a sign of something deeper. It's a sign of purpose, because the enemy doesn't fight what doesn't threaten him. You're under pressure because you carry power. You're exhausted because you've been pouring into everyone else without refilling yourself. But God is not letting this break you. He's using it to rebuild you stronger. There's a version of you on the other side of this pain that you haven't even met yet. A version of you that's clearer, bolder, freer. But you don't get to meet that version by skipping the struggle. You meet them by walking through it, by enduring, by choosing not to give up, even when it feels like you're walking through fire. Every trial, every heartbreak, every moment of silence, it's forming something in you. It's teaching you how to trust beyond what you can see, how to stand on faith when your feelings fail you. You keep looking for signs that things are going to turn around, that the breakthrough is close. But sometimes God doesn't give you signs. He gives you strength. He gives you endurance. He gives you grace to keep going even when the finish line feels far away. That's how you know He's with you, not just when things are easy, but when everything inside you wants to quit and something still pushes you forward. The beauty of being seen by God is that you don't have to perform. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to wear a mask. He sees the real you, the messy you, the broken you, the tired you, and He loves you in all of it. You don't have to hide your pain from Him. You don't have to clean yourself up before coming to Him. You just have to be honest. Honest with where you are, honest with what you're feeling, honest enough to say, God, I'm tired, I'm hurting, I don't know how much more I can take. Because that's where healing begins. You might not be okay right now, and that's okay. You're human. You're allowed to feel. You're allowed to wrestle with the weight of what you're carrying. But in the middle of it, you're still here. You're still fighting. You're still breathing. And that's evidence of strength even you might not fully recognize. So while others might overlook your struggle, while they see the smile and not the storm, while they celebrate the win but not the war, God sees it all. And He's not ignoring you. He's not silent because He doesn't care. He's silent because He's working in ways you can't yet see. There's a reward coming for what you endured in silence, for what you carried when no one helped, for what you kept doing when no one said thank you. God doesn't forget the things done in secret. The world may never see the nights you cried yourself to sleep, but heaven does. The world may never understand how you kept serving while your heart was breaking, but heaven does. And in due time, you will see the fruit of your faithfulness. You will see the blessing behind the burden. You will see the beauty that came from your brokenness. You will look back and realize that while people didn't see you, God always did. You've been in a fight for your life, and some days it doesn't even look like a fight to anyone else. That's the thing about internal battles. They don't show on the outside. Nobody sees the mental exhaustion. Nobody sees the emotional fatigue. Nobody sees how hard it is for you to keep going, but you keep showing up, you keep pushing, you keep pressing forward, even when it feels like everything inside you is screaming to stop. That kind of strength isn't ordinary. That kind of resilience learned doesn't come easy. That's survival. That's endurance. That's choosing to believe in something bigger than your circumstances when all the odds are stacked against you. You've taken some hits. You've been knocked down more times than you can count. And maybe you haven't even had the chance to fully recover from one thing before another thing hits. Life hasn't exactly given you breaks. It's handed you battles. But somehow, even through all the weariness, you haven't quit. Even when the people around you couldn't see the fight in your eyes, even when they misunderstood your silence, even when you were too tired to explain what you were going through, you stayed in the ring. And that alone says something powerful about the spirit inside of you. See, there's a difference between being tired and being defeated. You can be worn out, you can be drained, you can feel like you've got nothing left in the tank, but that doesn't mean you've lost. You're still here. You're still standing. And sometimes the greatest victories aren't loud or dramatic. They're quiet. Sometimes victory looks like getting out of bed when depression told you not to. Sometimes victory looks like saying no to the old pattern that's been trying to pull you back. Sometimes victory is simply surviving another day when everything in you wants to give up. That's the fight people don't talk about. That silent war behind the eyes, that internal grind that wears you down in places you didn't even know could feel pain. And maybe nobody claps for it. Maybe nobody notices. Maybe you feel unseen, overlooked, and underappreciated. But the truth is, you're not doing this for applause. You're not doing this to prove something to the world. You're doing this because you refuse to let the fire inside you die. You've come too far to give up now. You've been through too much to throw in the towel. You have every reason to quit, but something in you keeps going. And that something isn't weakness, it's strength, it's power, it's grit. It's the part of you that remembers the purpose even when the pain tries to make you forget. It's the faith that whispers, keep going, even when the facts scream, it's over. You've been carrying more than your share. You've been holding it together for people who don't even realize how heavy it's been for you. But you keep holding on, you keep pressing, and even though you don't always feel strong, you are. There's a reason you haven't given up yet. There's a reason the enemy keeps trying to knock you out. It's because there's greatness in you. There's a calling on your life that hell is trying to stop. There's purpose in your pain. And every time you rise up again, you're pushing back against the darkness that tried to silence you. You're not just surviving, you're pushing forward. You're building something even in the middle of the storm. You're becoming someone stronger, even in your weakest moments. The struggle hasn't stolen your purpose, it's actually been refining it. The fire hasn't destroyed your future, it's been shaping you for it. That brokenness you feel, that's where the breakthrough starts. That emptiness, that's the space God is about to fill. That tiredness, that's a sign you've been moving, you've been working, you've been fighting. And the reward isn't just in reaching the destination, it's in what you've gained along the way. You've gained wisdom. You've gained clarity. You've gained an awareness of what matters and what doesn't. And most of all, you've gained proof that you can make it through anything. You've learned to fight battles in silence. You've learned to stand in storms that were meant to wipe you out. You've learned to walk through fire without losing your faith. And every scar you carry is a reminder, not of defeat, but of survival, of strength, of grace, of endurance. Those scars are proof that even when it got dark, you didn't stop. Even when it got heavy, you didn't quit. Even when your faith wavered, you still moved forward. You've had to encourage yourself when no one else was there. You've had to find light in places that felt like absolute darkness. You've had to speak life over your own future when your current reality looked nothing like what you hoped for. But that's what warriors do. That's what people with purpose do. They fight, they press, they hold on, even when the rope is fraying, even when the answers don't come, even when it seems like they're alone. And you are not alone. You've been held this whole time, even when you didn't feel it. You've been sustained, covered. Sometimes your greatest strength isn't what people see, it's what they don't. It's the decision to try again after a failure. It's the courage to dream again after a disappointment. It's the will to believe again after heartbreak. It's getting back up over and over, even when the fall took everything out of you. And while others might be celebrating the finish line, heaven is applauding the fact that you never left the track, that you kept running, that you kept believing, that you kept pushing through the fatigue, the fear, the uncertainty. Because that's what faith really is. It's not just trusting when everything is going right. It's holding on when everything seems wrong. It's walking forward with tears in your eyes, not because you're weak, but because you're real. And real strength doesn't always look like confidence. It sometimes looks like trembling hands and tired eyes and a shaky voice saying, I'm not giving up. You've learned how to carry burdens you never asked for. You've learned how to keep going with a heart that's still healing. And you've done it without recognition, without validation, without reward. But there's something forming in the fire. There's something happening in the weariness. Your struggle has not gone unnoticed. Your effort has not been wasted. Every drop of sweat, every tear, every late night cry, it all matters. It all counts. It's all being woven into something greater than what you can see right now.